gremlins! Welcome back to another aesthetic video! It's been a while since my last one, but I needed a break between larger projects, so we return once again to my spinner wheel of aesthetics, and the spinner wheel chose... Romantic Academia! Romantic Academia is an academic aesthetic specializing in romantic literature, both modern and classical, as well as love and a lighter, more optimistic aesthetic than the traditionally broody dark academia. Visually, the aesthetic is similar to light academia, but with more focus on romance-associated motifs like flowers and lace, as well as more pink and red tones alongside neutrals. As well as a general love of romance, Romantic Academia also carries with it a love for the Romantic era of literature in the early to mid-1800s, with themes of heightened emotions, nature, and individualism. Like many academia-based aesthetics, Romantic Academia is generally associated with Western literature and philosophy, as well as educational institutions. More broadly, Romantic Academia values education, curiosity, compassion, emotion, and optimism. There is also a glorification of nature, creativity, and learning, as well as a focus on emotions, aesthetic beauty, exploring the self, and spirituality. Romantic Academia visuals are generally academic in nature or very romantic and soft. Some visuals include flower bouquets, especially roses, lipstick marks, teapots, cups and saucers, mirrors, lace doilies, pearls, perfume, Greco-Roman statues, old books, well-lit libraries, typewriters, love letters, and fancy alcohol like red wine or champagne. A lot of visuals associated with Romantic Academia are very feminine-coded, and while this isn't an aesthetic exclusive to feminine people, I did have a hard time finding masculine styles on Pinterest. Generally, Romantic Academia clothing is academic, a little fancy, and very soft in color and fabric. Tops include blouses of all types, Peter Pan collars, turtlenecks, and sweaters. Cardigans, waistcoats, or suit jackets can be layered over top. Corsets can be worn over or under clothing, and petticoats can fluff out skirts. Speaking of skirts, almost all preppy skirts fit the aesthetic, especially pleated and/or plaid skirts, circle skirts, A-line skirts, and pencil skirts. Dress pants can also be worn. For fancy occasions, a gown can be worn. On the feet, stockings or lacy socks are worn under boots, Doc Martens, Mary Janes, ballet flats, or Oxfords. Accessories are dainty, pearls or gold, with heart-shaped lockets and brooches. Bows and ribbons are also common in hair or on clothing. Clothing tends to be soft neutral colors like brown, beige, cream, and white, paired with light pinks and soft reds. Some activities associated with Romantic Academia are generally present in all academic aesthetics. Others are romance-specific. Some specifically romantic activities include writing love letters or poetry, ballet, and reading or writing romantic literature. Authors whose work fits the aesthetic include Jane Austen, Oscar Wilde, Virginia Woolf, and some of Shakespeare's more romantic works. More general activities that fit into the Romantic Academia aesthetic include studying, reading, drinking tea, card games or chess, tennis, photography, fiber arts, research, debate or discussion, studying music, sketching nature, and traveling. Doing such activities with a close friend or romantic partner adds to the Romantic Academia vibes. Bonus points if said friend or lover was an academic rival at some point. I had a lot of fun with the Romantic Academia character I've been drawing. She's a wheelchair user, sitting in her chair with a book open on her lap and a rose in her hand. I traced the chair itself from a reference picture I found online. I'm not great at drawing mechanical devices even when I've drawn several wheelchairs before. I gave this character pants rather than a skirt, even though skirts are more common for Romantic Academia outfits, because I find it easier to draw pants in a sitting pose than long skirts. She's also wearing a blouse with lots of volume in the sleeves and a Peter Pan collar and a sweater vest. Her hair is mostly loose with a bow tying some of it back. This character's jewelry is minimal, but there's one piece I'm really proud of. She's wearing simple gold earrings, a gold heart necklace, and a string of pearls, but I'm most proud of the brooch pinned to her sweater vest. This is a lover's eye painting. Eye miniatures, known colloquially as lover's eye paintings, are small paintings of a loved one's eye, usually worn as part of jewelry. It was a trend in the late 1700s and early 1800s among the rich, especially when the love needed to be kept a secret. I really like this idea. It feels so sweet and romantic to paint the eye of someone you love and wear it, and it also seems like exactly the kind of trend a lover of Romantic Academia would participate in. So this character is wearing a lover's eye brooch of her girlfriend, and her girlfriend has a lover's eye of her own in a locket. I always start my coloring with the jewelry and tiny details before moving on to larger sections of color layered underneath. Sometimes I forget that a detail overlaps another, and, for instance, pause coloring a muted pink sweater vest for a few minutes to color a rose in front of it first. The rose has a dark green stem and pink petals, a shade darker than the vest behind it. I incorporated a little green into this character's clothing as well to match the stem of the flower. It's very pale, but there is green in the argyle on her vest. Her blouse started out as cream, but later I think I lightened it even further to a nearly white. Her pants are light brown with a thin, pale plaid pattern. Her skin is brown and her hair and eyes dark, and I gave her some blush on her cheeks and some dark pink lipstick. Her wheelchair matches her clothing and aesthetic. This did prove tricky in differentiating between chair and clothing, but I really like it when people are able to match their mobility aids to their vibes. I do it myself, although for me that means wrapping things in vines or gluing fake moss on, rather than painting anything pale pink. The main frame of the wheelchair is light pink, as are the spokes on the wheels. The cloth on the seat and armrest were originally going to be pink too, but I then changed them to be beige for a bit more variety. Only the front wheels, handles, and footrests are left the original grayscale that the wheelchair was in originally when the character received it. It is at this point that I lightened this character's blouse to make it stand out against her wheelchair, before moving on to the background. Normally I don't use outlines in the background, focusing more on rendering than on my cartoon style, but I changed things up a bit this time. This change wasn't on purpose, I was just in autopilot when doing the line art, and found myself outlining the little table behind this character without meaning to. I decided to keep it, and who knows, maybe I'll use outlines more going forward to emphasize parts of my backgrounds. The table is set with a teapot and matching cup and saucer, as well as a letter in a wax-sealed envelope and a second pink rose. The letter and rose are from this character's girlfriend, and the tea is chamomile. I feel like that's a flavour this girl would like. The pot and cup are painted with pink roses, and my style doesn't quite lend itself to the delicate style of the china I'm referencing, but I think it gets the vibe across. I coloured the roses in with a watercolour brush rather than using my solid block colours to add a little bit to that delicacy. The rest of the background is very simple. There are a couple strings of fairy lights lighting the wall behind this character, and the floor is simple wood. I thought about carpet, but wood is easier for the wheelchair. I did forget to texture it though, so it's very flat. I want to say that this girl is a university student, but given that she has the money for a custom paint job on her wheelchair, and time to sit reading and writing love letters with tea, I'm not sure if that's realistic. However, I also don't care. This character is the embodiment of an aesthetic that romanticizes studying, so she can be a student without monetary worries. I just convinced myself of this as I write my script, a little pull behind the curtain. She's studying English literature with a focus on early to mid-1800s authors like Jane Austen and Mary Shelley. In her free time, she likes to write her own stories, either poetry, short stories, or fanfiction. Sometimes she'll write on a normal laptop or even on her phone notes app on a long train ride, but sometimes when she's really feeling the aesthetic, she'll use an old antique typewriter her girlfriend found at a garage sale. On those evenings, she'll light some candles, brew a whole pot of tea, and write for hours listening to instrumental music on a record player. Sometimes her girlfriend will hang out with her while she writes, doing her own researching of fashion history, her own major. Other times she'll just be alone with her thoughts and ideas. When not writing, studying, or in class, this character likes spending time outside, rolling through parks or on the school campus, and setting up to read under trees or looking out over ponds. She'll explore museums and art galleries with her girlfriend, both info-dumping about random research rabbit holes they've been down. This character will rant for half an hour about someone else's literature critique that she disagrees with, or about her interpretation of a character, and in return, her girlfriend will gush about century-old clothing styles and complain about corset myths. On lower energy days, this character might just stay in bed or curl up on her couch in her room, reading or listening to audiobooks. When reading, she'll write notes in the margins in pencil, doodle little hearts next to passages she loves, and sticky note pages that she wants to talk to her girlfriend or friends about. If her girlfriend isn't studying or in class that day, the two might trade reading out loud back and forth, or just sit in silence, people watching out the window or reading their own books alone. I think that next time I draw an academic aesthetic, I need to draw this girlfriend. I've created this whole little academic utopia here, and I want to expand on it. This isn't where I thought this script would go. I don't normally come up with so much character lore about my aesthetic drawings, but it's fun though. Romantic academia is pretty far from my regular aesthetic. While I do like some academia styles, I tend toward the more chaotic, overgrown, and green. However, I think it's a really pretty and soft aesthetic, and I had a lot of fun drawing this character. If you like romantic academia, or have a different aesthetic you think I should talk about, let me know in the comments, especially if it's an academic aesthetic, so I have an excuse to give this character's girlfriend a canonical appearance. Maybe I should start connecting more of my aesthetic characters together. Or maybe I need to go to bed before I give myself a massive and complicated project on a whim. Anyway, I'll stop yapping for now. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed it, and please consider liking and subscribing if you like my content. Until next time, bye!